Okay, morning guys. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Just waiting for people to get on, it looks like. And we'll get up and racing. Hey Bobby, hope you're well, mate. All right, I'll get going. Hey Guru, just you can see on the screen gold, another 20 bucks since the market's closed. So it is going crazy, just rallying up. Now the US dollar's not actually open just at this stage. I think the now what are they? I think they were just talking about stimulus packages. So another trillion, I think they're looking at. Hey, Peter, I think they just gave it to, who are they? The Republicans or whoever they are. Trump's team just gave it to the Congress, and now they'll be debating that and going on about that. So um, it'll be interesting to see how it all goes out. But yeah, another trillion. So they're just throwing money there, with no regard to how they're going to actually pay everything off. So it's amazing. Elections, yes, elections are coming. The US dollar's melting down, so they sort of got what they want, the value in their dollar. Just keeps chugging away, Downsides at the moment, it's entrenched in a move lower, and it's in search of support. I mean, you think you're going through support, bang straight through. So there's also the yield with the Fed Reserve. They're going to, I think their 3-day meeting ends tomorrow, Wednesday, or US time anyway. But they're pretty keen on a weaker. Sorry, let me just get rid of that. There's a noisy going in the side room. So they're keen on really keeping interest rates lower for longer as the recovery is struggling. So they know they've got more virus concerns as the numbers just keep going up, which means they're either going to have to go in lockdown or, it's not good for politics either if those numbers keep rallying and then keep rising. You're going to have the death rates are going to creep up as well, and then all these sorts of things. So I think their economic recovery is nowhere near what they were expecting, and it's going to be fraught with, was it roundabouts, um, swings and roundabouts. That's what I'm looking for. So that US dollar, it's losing the yield advantage that it's had over other currencies. If the Fed is determined to keep lower rates, so all of a sudden forget about having that yield rate advantage, and if you're major fund flows, I'm expecting, and that's why you see the lower US dollar is flowing out. If the US is not going to recover as quick as, say, Europe or anywhere else, the major funds will be looking for opportunities in other currency, like the euro and European stocks potentially, as they come out of lockdown quicker and they start to grow quicker. And the US has some serious problems. So yeah, that's the US dollar. So wins elections November. I think the market is happy to hold up here at this stage. You had the NASDAQ, so that's gold there, which just quickly click on the NASDAQ. So the Dow, basically, they opened up. Here's 11:30, popped up, and then pretty much sideways action from there. It was supported mainly by the NASDAQ. You can see the S&P was up, and then it ground up into the close, and the NASDAQ was actually a lot stronger. But still, it's just below this MA, so there's no reason why it can't start to get some selling pressure, but they're in a buying mood. There's no doubt about that. Every time we get a dip into anything, come on, why won't you move for me? There we go. That was a bit nicer. All right. So as you get a dip into the markets, they're looking to just continue that momentum up, especially when you've got stimulus packages on the cards, you've got lower rates, everything, free and easy money for the coming, they're talking years, couple of years. They're expecting 22 or thereabouts before rates would even bother moving up. Flooding the market with dollars, easy cash. It's supportive of prices into stocks. It's just, are they overvalued or not? They're saying we've also got, I think it's Google and Amazon later on this week are reporting. Now they're saying 80% of stocks have beaten consensus, which is fine when you probably set the bar so low, but they're 40% lower. So reporting is a lot weaker, and they've been dropped quite a bit. So it's that obviously when people read that sort of headline, we're beating consensus. That doesn't mean too much when the consensus is so low to start with. But reporting, I think, at Amazon and that later in this week, so we could get a bit of action into the NASDAQ. Now, if that starts to melt down, we get a big sell-off there. It's going to drag the S&P and the Dow with it, and that's going to pressure the overall market because I think we're just hanging around. Everyone's sort of waiting for this sell-off, maybe. Whether it comes or not, I mean, we wait. A lot of people have been waiting for a while. If you weren't buying, then you've just been sitting on the sidelines waiting for this sell-off, and it's well and truly, you have been waiting for a long time yet, and we could still be waiting for a long time yet. We don't know. But it seems like the bullish action is just running out of steam at the moment. Whether this, further stimulus is going to support it, and there's going to be more money thrown into the equity markets, we'll just have to wait and see. So let's go to, that's NASDAQ. Let's just look at crude is punching higher as well. Crude, but you can see it's spiked down in support, and then you got US dollar, higher US dollars obviously supporting it, but it is not willing to kick on, and it's not willing to sell off. So it's sort of stagnant. I mean, you've got obviously supply demand working on that there. So if we go into further lockdown, there's going to decrease demand, which you would expect lower prices into crude. But it seems to be holding at this stage. It's holding up off that 40 again. Still, you can see that longer term, well, that sort of trend up is grinding ever so slightly higher, continues to grind up. So as long as that's supported, we could see higher prices. We expect to see higher prices, but at the moment it's just getting that capped because whether or not the US is going to go back into lockdown, are they going to, what's going to happen there, all that sort of thing. So there's enough headwinds to keep that in check. And copper, now copper did rally, and it has just bounced, I think, on the back of that news that of the $1 trillion stimulus that was just after that. We popped up into this zone here at 292. Now, if we start to rally up there, then maybe this contractive action is over. We'll just have to wait and see again. Or that could just be locked in a range, between these highs and these lows down here at 287. But at the moment, that looks supportive, but it's still within the terms of the contraction lower. So if we start to back off from here and hold a lower high, you should see a sell-off through 288 or 286. But again, you've got every time the market thinks it's going lower, there's always that supportive stimulus to come back in. We're forgetting about the amount of dollars floating around the system at the moment, how they're going to pay off their debts, and their massive debt levels in the US. Irrelevant, the market is still well and truly linked into that stimulus. So we'll just have to see. I mean, with copper, whether that starts to back off from there. Again, it's found these highs up at 297. It's held up there. It's just whether that there we're going to see a break there, pull back to test, and we're going to trend back up to this high at 297.80 thereabouts. We'll wait and see on that one. Now that's just what I wanted to cover there. Let's just look at the indices. So we've got, well, Bitcoin. We're long Bitcoin at the moment from 95, sort of 9,500. I'll spit that out. We're long from 95. We booked a partial at 99.40, which looks pretty dumb at this stage, but coming into the highs, happy to book a partial, and we're just riding that second half up. Currently, you got to stop at 10,700. I just want to see if Bitcoin can really kick off. Now, that might seem like a tight stop, but with Bitcoin's, the nature of it, when it kicks on, it could really start to kick on hard. Now, if you do get flushed out of that, I would expect there's going to be a bit of a correction lower, clean out some longs because it has gone on quite hard, clean out some longs, and then we might get a second opportunity if it starts to set up again. But at the moment, I mean, $1,200 at the moment on the upside is still quite handy. I mean, we could get whipped out and go, but we'll keep an eye on that one. That's doing quite well, and Ethereum's kicking on as well. All your sort of cryptos are starting to get a run on as the US dollar weakens. Now, we'll go through, let's just see where the Aussie market, the SPY, is just opened up. Whether it flushes through 60.42, that action yesterday, it was here. This action yesterday was an absolute mess. It was just really choppy, so really hard to get anything on the long or short side. It was sort of going through highs and then backing off and going through it, and it continued that action all night, which I don't particularly like. I mean, it's just been grinding up. We could get a bit of a sell-off. I mean, it's got to break 60, 20, 21. If we break that level, we start to get a lower high build. There could be a momentum play down to 59.90 or below, down to 59.56. But at this stage, what we said, everyone's sitting around waiting for the stimulus package. So what's going to happen in the US, and then how are they going to react to that stimulus package, and so on. So we look like we're just going to pop up through 60.42. Then if we pop up high enough, we don't just wash it out and drop back straight back down below. We may get a pullback and we can buy off 60.42, a retest off there, or buy off some sort of higher low. But at the moment, I'm not too keen on the SPY because I think this choppy action is going to continue today. We've got Dow. Now, the Dow backed off from these highs at 26,638. We're looking for it to back off. What I want to see is this put in a lower high. If we put in a lower high here, we might get some negative action, but you can see the longer term MA is starting to grind up. So if we chop around here, we could just flush a few more people out, and it might be a lower high coming into Europe. We can work some shorts off and then turn around and bounce, come into European session as that opens. But at the moment, this could be the level to work off 26,638 at this stage. Now, we didn't get that flush out like we were expecting. It just pretty much sold off after we sent out the alert. Found some selling pressure. So it's whether, I mean, you can see this action. What I like to see is, when it's trending, it's sort of above this. This is a 30 MA. It's a whole moving average and a 50. I like to see it hold above it. It's got to, retest. It doesn't really, fall through too much. So to think this is going to sell off when we got this candle straight back up above, it's more of contraction back to this longer term MA, back to here, as you can see. So that's what I'm sort of looking for. So if that's the case, we've got one leg down. If we can go down, so I wouldn't really be looking at this until the Hang Seng opens at 11.15. We might get a secondary leg lower, a deeper correction off these highs, and then start to see what happens if we start to get buoyed off the MAs and we start to lift again. All right, the Hang Seng, we go over there. Hang Seng is, this is the 30-minute chart. We don't really want to worry too much about it until it opens 11.15, being the CFD pricing, but this here looks like it's doing the same old action. It's been grinding up. We're back to the longer term average on the way down. Whether or not, if we start to flush lower, then I'll be looking for those lower highs, obviously for a play down to 24,580. Now it's obviously going to happen. We have to wait to that open at 11.15, see what we might have to chop around. So you can see, I think this is the open here. Yep, this is around the open here at 11.15. You can see how it flushes out both sides and then starts to pick a direction. The same, this is back here, this open, flushing up, back to the MAs, and then starts to pick a direction down. And even though that come back down and retested the lows, we have got a short trade when you go down to the 5-minute time frame, a short trade on the hand. So that trend is well established on the downside. There may be support that's going to hold at 24,580. We might come down and retest that and bounce quite strong, or we may just pop up, retest this high at 24,965. Now, if we do that, there's a chance we can start holding above that MA and we're going to start to curve back on the upside. All right, so we'll just have to wait and see how that action plays out in the open. Now, the new one we're looking at is the Japan 225, which is the Nikkei. Thanks to Jason who brought it to my attention again. I forgot all about it. I was looking at it a while ago and then it sort of went off the radar. Now I think we'll start looking at it for further opportunities. Now that opens at 9:30, so it's been open for the last 20-25 minutes. And you can see it's done next to nothing. We're all sort of sitting around waiting to see what happens. Okay, waiting to see what happens with the Hang Seng, waiting for more news on stimulus, because stimulus is sort of the key at the moment. And we've got, was it the 30, I don't know when the month is, finishes the 30th or 31st, but that's when the US, the unemployment benefits go off. It comes to end on the end of the month, end of this month. So they need to do something before that, which is in the coming days. So I'd figure, because the market has always been supported in the past 6 months or so, the past few months, not 6 months, off the lows by stimulus, everyone's just looking for stimulus to see the reaction up, and then we're going to go long again. So I think everyone's sort of sitting around waiting to see if that's going to be the case, and we just continue to kick the can down the road. But at the moment, this Nikkei is pretty much going sideways. I wouldn't be doing anything until we start to pick a direction. You want to see a clean break. I mean, there is a chance that we start to, on the Hang Seng, we break up. And if we can see that, that's up to the longer term trend down, and we start to fade up here, and we might get a short on, which it's done before. It's, just to clean out this 22,745 zone. If we start to get a lower high, and the Hang Seng does the same, cleans out resistance, then holds, and then sinks. And then just everyone that's sort of been buying it above gets sold into it, and the market just can, you get a 100, 150 point move on the downside. So we might do the same thing on the Nikkei, but we'll be watching that. At the moment, it's still capped at 22,745. All right, so we're just probably waiting for more movement on the US and more, see what Hang Seng, the Hang Seng does as well. Back to the SPY, it's just got up through 60.42, so we'll see if any action plays out there. So that's pretty much at the moment. We've only got a couple more positions on some shares, which are going quite well, and one exposure to gold. Probably, we'd love to have a few more if we knew what was going to happen, but at this stage, we don't. So there's enough. We only really have 10 positions into our portfolio. One's Bitcoin, and we've got 3 shares. Just looking to add a couple of more bits and pieces, especially if we've got some good setups on the upside. But again, we're not going to be throwing too much risk at it, as in having really wide stops expecting for the SPY or the ASX to really kick off in the new highs. I think the weight is on the downside. We've still got unemployment problems. The US is going to get more unemployment problems, you would expect. Can't keep throwing dollars at it. I think the market's going to come to terms with that sooner or later, and then we'll just see what happens on the downside. But I'm still expecting that sell-off. It's just sort of where from. All right, guys, that's probably about it. We're going to finish it there. Any questions, feel free to send us an email to support@tradesetup.com.au. And it'd be great if you can leave us a like on our YouTube channel. We're back on tomorrow at 9:40, so we'll see what happens overnight, see if gold can just continue on higher. It's still holding up, $22 at the moment. Let's just see where it's showing gold. You can see that that's been on since about 8 o'clock this morning. It's just that rally of $22. So it's consolidated, bang, up we go again. So it's well and truly bullish, and any shorts going to get squeezed out at this moment. I mean, so what we'll see, if there's going to be a pullback off the highs, then you're going to see it's going to be hard and fast, and it's just going to trigger so many levels on the way down. But at the stage, if it starts to rally here, consolidate, it could go long again. So we'll just keep an eye on that. All right, guys, thanks very much. We'll speak to you again tomorrow. Cheers, bye.